education. So everything if has to be available at the at your fingertips. So that is why. Okay. So we welcome you, ma'am, once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. I'll just share my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
So my screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible.
Okay, I'll just,
The other one, ma'am. The other, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So that today's topic is the changing scenario of higher education. So as I just told you that in 2 decades of my teaching career, I have seen lot of changes. I think, in fact, 360-degree change in the scenario of higher education. So when I joined as an assistant professor, when I became a principal, what were my responsibilities? And when I left this institute and became joined as a pro vice chancellor, what my responsibilities and what is the demand of the students these days, and what is the demand of our nation? We have to when we see in in totality that what kind of citizens we have to produce as a teacher, and the kind of responsibility that rests on our shoulder is huge, and it is a Herculean task. The higher education is no more a simple classroom task that we teach we teach the students and come back and we forget, and we just easily after 4 years or after 3 years of their graduation we celebrate convocation and tata bye bye. No, that is not done now. Now there is much more to the requirements of the students, for today's students. So that's, as I have told, we are witnessing a sea change in the future of higher education. What is our future? Now, when I read, India is the #1 in the globe, among all the countries where the population of youth is maximum. The population rate of youth is maximum in India. So, like, if you are educating the youth, if our gross ratio of enrollment increases, which we are expecting that 50% of youth will be seeking education by the end of 2035. That is the vision that government is expecting. In that case, what will be the we can see that now India will not be a developing country. It will be a fully developed, and we will be facing challenges to other countries, big countries like US, UK, Russia. So, our future of India is very bright, looking into the population of youth who are going to seek education. So now, but at the same time, what we need to ponder over is why companies like Google, Microsoft, Walmart, if you go to, you can meet personally. When I went to US and when I visited Google, there were people who were not qualified. They did not have PhD degree. They did not have a degree from a institute, like where we have a degree from this institute. We have PhD degree. We have master's degree. We have graduation degree. But they had a set of skills that the company needed, and they were being promoted without having a certified degree certificate, but they are still that means they are utilizing skill based hiring and dropping the requirements of college diplomas and degrees. So what is the purpose of higher education now? So we just come to the present scenario, just in few minutes, let me take you back to the ancient time when our education system evolved in India. The ancient universities in India, as you all are aware of, you all must have read in your, like school days also, the Takshashila and Nalanda universities were the two universities where education was, like delivered, where education was delivered in a real sense, where students learned not only the Vedas, but they learned the set of skills also, which would enable them to find a job and which made them employable. So University of Nalanda from 5th century to 12th century, and India was the greatest, Nalanda University was that India's greatest achievement of the ancient period. It was one of the world's first residential universities, means the students used to stay there. And it had 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers. Means just see the ratio of faculty and the student ratio, 1:5. There were one teacher available to 5 students. And the library was 9-storied building. So how rich that university was in the context of education, right? So then you talk about Takshashila. It was established in Gandhar, now which is in Pakistan, and Vedas, and it had all these skills were taught in that university, Vedas, and the 18 arts, which included like archery, hunting, elephant law, along with law school, medical school, school of military science, and Ayurvedic healer. Everything was taught in that university. And you all are aware of, I need not tell you, the Arthashastra by Janakya, it was also composed at Takshashila University. The students studied science, astronomy, metaphysics, yoga, foreign, even this university had students from Korea, Japan, China, Tibet, Indonesia, Turkey. And like amazing. Now these days we really crave. It is, it is happening opposite. Our students are migrating to Australia, to US. I myself sent my son to US to for higher studies. Why when we had this kind of university, when we could attract the students from Korea and China and Turkey, then why our students are going abroad to seek studies? That means that we have the vision that our ancient people, our ancient teachers, that the gurus that we had, they had a better vision than us. Better vision is done. So because the British, the Nalanda was distracted, because why destroyed? Why? Because the neighboring countries, they wanted that with this kind of education, India will become the superpower. That is why. So I feel that, oh my God, we had such education system, and now we are going back. Not the need of the hour today is going back to that kind of education which we had in around 6th to 12th century. So establishment of now modern universities in India. So I hope I'm audible now. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You are very much audible.
Okay. So now then comes the establishment of modern universities in India. After a gap of 600 years, after the destruction of Nalanda University, we had universities of Bombay, Calcutta, Madras. They were all founded in 1857, and University of Allahabad was established in 1887. Those universities were established in 1857, and this Allahabad University was established in 1887. And these universities began as purely examining bodies and continued to be so till the beginning of 20th century, when we had Indian Universities Commission, which was appointed in 1902, and Indian Universities Act, which was passed in 1904. I'm just, very briefly, I'm just taking you back how the education, how the universities, how the system of education evolved, the policy of education evolved in India. All right. So this government resolution on education policy, the first 1913, accepted that we need to establish more universities, and then 6 more universities came into existence from 1913 to 1921. And Banaras BHU, Banaras Hindu University, was established in the year 1916, and Aligarh Muslim University was founded in 1920. See the age of these universities, both the university, BHU and Aligarh Muslim University, 1920, and now we are in 2022, and more than 1,000 years old university. So then we got, India again got hold of, like higher education, and 19 more universities were established before independence. And now there were 190 universities in India from the period 1990 to 91. Now, till it is, as for University Grants Commission, there are 847 universities by 1916. Now we have 46 central universities. I'm talking about till 1960, not 22. 347 state university, 235 private university, and 30 million students are seeking higher education. So what is the result of this kind of, when all these universities evolved? This growth has helped in bridging the gap, social gap in participation in higher education. Now we come to 21st century. What were the main characteristics of 21st century? Not only, I'm not talking about only education. The main features of 21st century was globalization, you all know, liberalization, you all know, privatization was also increased. You know the globalization, expansion of interconnected trades, and liberalization. You know how the relaxation of government rules on globalization, and then privatization. And these characteristics, or these features were also included in higher education. At all levels, these were the main characteristics of 21st. So now we discuss, looking into the characteristics of 21st century, the purpose of higher education. What is the purpose of higher education? To procure skills for a career, to acquire a philosophy of life and intellectual cognitive stimulation. Can any one of you tell me what is intellectual stimulation? Cognitive stimulation, intellectual cognitive stimulation. What is cognitive stimulation? If anyone could elaborate on that, I'll be happy. Any of the participants, please come up.
Participants, please raise your hand so that I can unmute you.
Okay. Intellectual stimulation.
Maybe it's part of a self-learning process.
Self-learning, of course, stimulation for thinking, intellectual stimulation. How do we stimulate our body? We want to we want to remain fit. We do exercises, all these things. But at the same time, we are not bothered about intellectual stimulation. Even our brain has to stay fit so that we can, those activities we have to do, which will keep us, which will stimulate our thinking, which will stimulate our concentration, which will stimulate our perception in a social group. So we have to not only update our physical health, mental health, the intellectual health also has to be looked at. For this, we have to have a philosophy of life. Then only our perceptions can change. Our thinking can change. We have to change. We have to teach our students that you don't have to only health is not wealth. Physical health is not wealth. Physical plus mental health is also. Now, that is why the subject of well-being is also suddenly raised, because we have to stimulate our intellectual health also. The way we look at things, the way we critically analyze, the way we will solve the problems, whether scientifically or whether socially. We have to have, but we have to have that intellectual cognitive property in life. Then to pick up values, morals, and ethics. That is, picking up values, morals, and ethics mean to learn to be empathetic, to learn empathy. Empathy is what? What is empathy? That you can, if I say I am a very empathetic person, or if I say Professor Aprajita Madam is a very empathetic, that means she has the ability to put herself in my shoe and think, oh my God, what is Professor Saluja having? What problem is she? Means you are not thinking about yourself. You are thinking about the other person. Why is she so disturbed? Why is she so upset? Why you have to put yourself in other person's shoe and think about that person. How can you help that person? That is empathy. And to have empathy, you have to have values. You have to have certain set of morals and ethics to be able to empathize with others. You cannot just declare, no, I am an empathetic person, and you are, like all the time doing vicious things, and you are telling lies, and you are out of control, and you are, non-ethical. Then you are not an empathetic person. And then we have to, as a higher education, educator, we have to instill the love for learning in our students. We have to develop their critical thinking abilities. We have to make them creative. We have to make them to have the power of tolerance and intellectual humility. Now I am using another word, intellectual humility. What is that? What is that? Intellectual humility. If anyone can give me the answer, I'll be really happy to, today. Yes, Dr. Manoj Nanda has raised his hand. Kindly unmute his mic so that I can hear him.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I am good, Dr. Nanda. Can you explain
Great.
what is intellectual humility?
Yes, ma'am. Intellectual humility precisely means humility that comes out of intellect which we have cultured over a period of time. Intellect not to be taken in the literal sense of the word, rather it should be taken in the sense of wisdom, knowledge, enlightenment. So this is just like Vidya Dadati Vinayam. When you have Vidya, when you have knowledge, you become humble.
Wise,
This is what it precisely means.
You are so right. You're so right. The more, that is why. Thank you, Dr. Nanda. You're so right. And because when if you happen to meet very learned people, and I will take you, for me, if I take the example of Professor Aprajita only, I'm not just flattering her. No, actually a humble person, the more, but all the time she is learning, she is on her computers, and she is always studying, and she's so learned, and in her, maybe in her field and all. when I meet her, she's so humble at the same time. So I feel that yes, I have had a very, beautiful chance of meeting such humble people like Aprajita Oja madam. Huh? So the more you learn, the more you become wiser, the more you become humble. It is your mind is opened up. Your mind is a tolerant mind. You have the aptitude to tolerate and accept others. Even if somebody is wrong, your mind, your intellectual, your humility says, let it be. Maybe you can give her another chance. Maybe that is what needed out of us as educators. This is not that like, oh my God, I am such a learned person, I become arrogant. I cannot do that. I am not the best. We at the age of now, it has been around 28 years in my academic career. Until date, I am learning. We are not only educating, I'm also learning, because every day is a new day for us. Technology is advancing, requirements of the students are advancing. So we have to update ourselves, right? I will tell you one example. When I was in teaching when I freshly joined Triple IT DM as a visiting professor, you know, I was a principal of an institute. When as a principal, I had all the help and, like all the class 3 people doing on computer, this to do that, this, that. So though I knew computers, that I was not so tech savvy at I should be. When I joined this, and when I started teaching the students, and started interacting, and when we had discussions and all that, then we used to have the feedback. I told you in the last session also that Triple ITDM has a beautiful system of feedback system. One out of the whole class, only one child, I had a chance to look at my feedback, and like some said excellent, some said good, some said very good, this. One child out of that class said Saluja madam does not know computers so well. That pinched me so much. I get, my God, what have I done? I had all those instruments, all those computers, everything at my desk, and because I had the help, because I was the principal, I was so busy, I did not. That incident, I hired a tutor. We had holidays on Saturdays and Sundays. Those two holidays, I hired a tutor to come and teach me everything about computer. You won't believe that I learned that. I'm talking about 2014. Not, years back to back. No, so it is just that, you have to have a intellectual humility. I did not feel bad. That child gave me a chance to improve myself, update myself technologically. Now, if I am able to speak to you, and if I am able to prepare all my PPTs and everything online, I think that I owe this credit. The credit goes to that child who gave me this feedback. So we all as educators, we all should have this. We have to learn to tolerate. We have to have an intellectual humility, and this has to be transferred to our students. All right. So now these are just basic things that we need to do. There are many other things which need to be transferred to our students. Now, if I just this, all these values, what I'm talking about, don't you think all these things are in the NEP and in the assessment of this thing guidelines, the assessment process, the criterias of all the NAC criterias and all the matrices? Yes, we can find all the matrices covering all these things. All these things: innovation, morals, ethics, love for learning, critical ability, intellectual property, become creative, philosophy, then skill. All these things are there. But NAC changed this, because, you know, like earlier NAC was on a 5-point scale. When NAC was founded in, 1994, if I remember. And I became as a member of NAC in 2003 to 2002 to 2005. I was a GC member and in the advisory board also, right? From there, we had a meeting in Bangalore, and it changed into 9-point scale. All right. Then when in 2017, the matrix is all again changed to 7 criteria. In the 7 criteria, all the matrices. But when in 2020 NEP was launched, people were not really, all the teachers were, it was not a new thing for all of us, because NAC had already kept all those matrices in their assessment and accreditation process. So these were not something that was new to us. We were already aware of all this. So the biggest reforms, the biggest change in higher education happened in the field of access, equity, inclusiveness, and quality. Quality, access, equity, inclusiveness, and quality. Of course, for NAC vision is quality is the defining element of NAC vision. But without access, without equity, without inclusiveness, can we have the quality? No, we cannot have the quality. All right. So what I mean by access means the education should be accessible to as many students as we can. We have to educate. I mean, there is, that there is a divide in our country. Whether it is the education divide, it is a digital divide, it is an economic divide, whether it is a social divide. There is division. If we have to overcome all these divides, we have to give access to education to all the sections of our population. Then there should not be any divide. Opportunity for admission to large number of talented students with prerequisite knowledge and aptitude. Then equity. When I talk about equity, it is not only gender. It is everything. Non-talented person should not be denied access to opportunities of higher education. Economic or social backwardness within the constitutional framework. We have to consider equal opportunity, because our constitution says that we have to have equal opportunities to all the citizens of India. This is our right, the right of the child. And inclusiveness means when we are taking a class. I am taking a class of 50 students, but I am teaching the same thing to all the 50 students. But the grasping power of all these 50 students is entirely different. Some may be intellectual, their intellectual capabilities is very different. But I, as a teacher, I have to prepare my lecture catering to the difference in intellectual difference in all the capabilities of all the students, having different intellectual capabilities, belonging to different countries, states, regions, religions, communities, social background, cultural background. Even culture makes a lot of difference. As I told you, I'm doing a research on communication, cultural communication. I feel, my God, the way we communicate in different cultures in India itself is so different. So when we have a institute of national importance, when we admit students from all over India, so we have to include all those diversified students within our class and different disciplines, who are studying in our university. That is inclusive. So access, equity, inclusiveness, and then comes the quality. What is the quality, difference between quality and standard? Quality relates to the process, like the quality of educational process, the quality of education that our students are receiving from us. But the standard is the outcome, what our students will be able to do after graduating from our university, your college, will be the standard of that institution. Oh my God, she's from IIT. Oh my God, she's from IIM. Why? They have made a standard. Sorry. They have made a benchmark of, because there it is not the teachers or the directors who have made the benchmark. The students of those institutions have made the benchmark for their institute. So quality is the quality of education that students receive from us, and standard is what is the outcome of the education that we have given to them. So we have to link quality and standard contribution of educational process to attainment of a defined standard. See, as a teacher, we have to deliver, we have to give education to, quality education to our students for to attain a defined standard. So that is what you all have been learning all these 40 hours, like this faculty development program. What is the vision of NAT? What is the vision of NEP? What is the defining element of NAT? What are the things that NEP has covered? So all these things. So this National Education Policy 2020 has conveyed a structural change in the education system, which aims to make India the global knowledge superpower. With this NEP, coming in of NEP, if we literally implement, if all the directors, and if I am not saying this is the responsibility of only the vice chancellors and the directors or the principals, but we as a teacher, we all are teacher in the classroom. In the classroom, you are a leader of that class. Your vice chancellor or your principal is not the leader of that class. You are the leader. You are going to shape the, you are going to mold the, or give a shape to these students. So your responsibility is greater than the director or the principal or the vice chancellor. They will give you direction. It is you as a teacher who has the responsibility of molding the, shaping the students. And this NEP, National Education Policy 2020, is India's third policy, which has replaced 1986 National Education Policy. He says that it has been formulated taking into considerations, there were many emails from UGC, from this ministry, taken feedback from all the stakeholders, whether it is students, whether it is teachers, whether it is directors, chancellors, vice chancellors and chancellors all over India. They have given their feedback and there have been deliberations over these feedbacks, and then this NEP has been launched. Based on the pillars of this NEP is based on what? Pillars of accessibility, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. It aims at transforming India into a vibrant knowledge hub. Why are our students going out of this country, gaining knowledge from IITs and IIMs, and giving their value-added knowledge to other countries? Why India cannot retain this intellectual properties or property of our students here only. So we have to give as a, like a higher education institution to provide infrastructure, support, innovative education centers to bring back and dropouts into the mainstream also. This is also one of our aims. Facilitating multiple pathways to learning involving both formal and non-formal. Diversity, inclusiveness are the most important features of higher education. NAC, in accordance with NEP, has redefined its key indicators to keep quality check on access, equity, inclusiveness, and quality. I think, if I am not wrong, I'm sure these 5 days of your faculty development, where many of the resource persons have talked on various criteria, and many of them has talked on outcome-based education. And I hope you guys are all clear with what is course outcome, what is program outcome, what is program-specific outcome. All these outcome-based education is what NEP is stressing on. Achieving quality standard with NEP through 3 forces. Learning outcomes that I've already told you. Are our students learning what they need to know for the world of work? Are they learning what they need to know for their personal development? Are they learning what they need to be productive citizens of our society? Being the course, the program that you are giving, the child is learning, the outcome which will set the benchmark of this, your institute. Is this course making them employable? Is this course making them the development of their personality? Is this course making them a contributing person to national development or the society development? And how technology is ICT, the importance of ICT in education. You know that every day there is a development in technology. And we have to teach our students to able to use ICT in a productive way, not in a destructive way. That is through your values, that when you inculcate, they will learn how to use the resource which is available to them in a constructive manner. And of course, cost versus access. Many of the students, good students, are deprived of education because they cannot afford. Now, evolution to a new model of higher education means, now new model means we can have an access to this course of study at our convenient time, at our convenient place. But technology cannot be just, cut paste. To use it effectively, they must restructure themselves in that challenges the major function. If you all have heard this story of Icarus. Icarus was, it is a, I don't know whether any of you is a literature student. Literature comes from a literature background. So the story of Icarus in a Greek mythology, it was, Icarus was a son of Daedalus, and he was a great architect who had built a labyrinth. You have heard of the name labyrinth in the city of King Mino, this a king of Crete. He had told Daedalus to design a structure. It was a labyrinth, and it was a very confusing structure. If somebody is thrown into labyrinth, nobody could come out. And then this Daedalus and his son Icarus they were jailed and they were put into prison by the king. And this architect knew that they cannot escape through this labyrinth. So he was a great architect. He had pasted wings on both of them, and then they flew out of the jail. So he told his son that no, when you go up, so don't go near the sun, otherwise the wax will melt and you will fall down. But Icarus became, when he was so, so happy to fly over the sea and fly over, so he wanted to give a tribute to the sun, and so he went near, he soared high, his ambitions became very high, and then he went up and his wings got melted, and he was then he fell down in the sea and he was drowned and he was killed. What I am saying here is, just because by Icarus could fly by pasting the wings to his body, you cannot fly. Your institution cannot fly by just copying and pasting technology to your students. You have to make them learn how to use ICT effectively so that the outcome is productive. It is not that technology should be misused by the students in a destructive manner. The way Icarus used his wings to soar his ambition to meet, some of the advanced learners, you have to check as a teacher. So we have a duty to our students to use technology to enhance teaching and research, not misuses. And we have a duty to ensure that all of our students have an appropriate familiar with the technology that is so rapidly changing the world. So that we give our students a skill that they need to function effectively in the world of work. So evolution. Most universities are not willing to challenge the concept of a course. What NEP is saying is that your education should be not a rote education. The child should understand the concept of that subject. What is the concept of the course that I am learning? The concept should be made very clear through your instruction. And just now, how a course is organized is undergoing a fundamental change. Now, why is NAC saying that how many times you have revised your curriculum? Is your curriculum, according to the need of the industry, need of the society? How is it? And people say that, oh yes, why are we keeping industrial people from industry as members of BOS, Board of Studies? Why are we keeping? Why is it necessary? NAC has made, and the government has made, universities have made mandatory to keep industry representatives in our Board of Studies Council. Why? So that we have their contribution, because BOS is the Board of Studies, is the main body which designs the curriculum and pedagogy. So we have to have a representatives from the society, we have to have the representatives from the industry, we have to have a representative from a professional, so that nothing is missed out in designing the curriculum, the pedagogy that we are designing for our students. And then we go to the how is this education delivered? Instructional delivery. So the changing educational scenario is this. Are we ready? All these criteria, this NAC revised accreditation framework, RAF, and NEP, they are two sides of a coin going together. What the matrices in NAC assessment and accreditation correspond to what NEP, National Education Policy, is saying. That how is revamping of the curriculum, then what are teaching, learning, and evaluation strategies? Because teaching and learning, there should not be a gap between teaching, learning, and evaluation. Because how you have taught, how the child has grasped, And what is the outcome? Assessment, evaluation. There should not be a gap. We as a teacher has to bridge the gap between teaching, learning, and evaluation. Because now, earlier days, we never used to bother. We never used to bother whether we have delivered our lecture. That is the end of my job. I have given a lecture, but what is the outcome? How is each child in my class grasps the teaching? And that is only reflected when we evaluate the child through the tests, right? But if the evaluation and teaching, if there is huge gap, that means your teaching and learning and evaluate is not in accordance with the NEP. So that is why NAC asks you how many appeared in the, how many got admitted in the first year and how many got graduated. Means if in the first year 1,000 students got enrolled in your institute and only 800 are the pass outs, mean where have those 200 gone? Mean 200 out of 1,000. So what is the percentage? So this is a huge gap. What is your percentage of? It's not that NAC is going to give you a medal that if there is 100%. NAC wants to see that where is the gap between learning, teaching, learning, and evaluation. Then we come to research and innovation, and just winding up, like whatever you have learned in all these 5 days. And this is research and innovation. How? We have to see that how research is, given impetus, and they have to, like NAC is saying, we have to focus on the startups and the incubation center. Then we have to have an interdisciplinary research, and how the institutions are supporting the research. Whether now you see, I am a social science student, okay? And when I look at the science students, this social science and science, they complement each other. There is no science without social science, whether there is no social science without science. Because what is social science is how innovation are taken to the society. What is social science? How innovations are taken to the society or to the common man. And what is science? How problem is solved, how the research has taken place, how big, what is a research? There is a research problem, right? You use instruments to solve this problem, and your research, result of the research is taken to what? To people, to the society. That is social science. So science and social science are two sides of a coin which complement each other. So what is the use of your research if there is no science, no society? There is no place to use your research. Your research should you be able to, it is not, and research is not something that you take grant from the government and do the research and put the report. No. How many of you have your research evaluation, the research, how is your research applied in the society? Okay, then infrastructure and learning resources. In this infrastructure and learning resources, library is the main component of this infrastructure and learning. E-learning resources. Library as the main source of learning. All right. Then student support and progression. It is not just, I have told you that it is not our duty to just, come, get enrolled in my institute, take the examination, take a degree. In the convocation, you wear a gown and I give you the degree and you say bye-bye to the student. Did you ever take a feedback from the student that where did you get from my institute? Did you get all you wanted in your life? Because all the different students have different ambitions. Some want to become IAS officer, some want to become a scientist, some they want to become teachers, want to become doctors, engineers. So as there are variety of ambitions in your students. Is your institute, is your curriculum with which you have given, through which you have given the degree to the particular child, have your curriculum catered to all the needs of the child? With the exposure of this internet and all the platforms, social media platform, our children they are exposed to many, like in our days, we never knew, except for you, I want to become a doctor, I want to become an engineer, I want to become a teacher, that's all. Now some children, they want to become entrepreneur, they want to become self-starter. They are very innovative now. They have many ambitions now. It is your institution which has to support, which have to complement along with their degree. You have to complement the child with those set of skills for which he is aspired to become. Then, and your institution should be the pathway to what, so that you can give timely advice to the students, academic support, books, physical and mental wellness, everything you have to cater to. That is the student support and progression. It is not that how many students have been has gone to higher education, how many students have become entrepreneurs. No, you have to see everything. You have to take the aptitude of, because we have to have a mentor-mentee system. Every single, like teacher has been given a set of students to like to see that how you can advise, and you have to see what is the aptitude of the child, and accordingly you give advice to the students and to complement his abilities in addition to what the curriculum is giving. You have to balance the child. Then become the governance and leadership management. Integrity of the faculty is very important in an institution. I've told you that as a teacher, you are the leader of so many students. You are shaping the lives of so many students.
Madam, your voice is going down. Yeah. And yeah.
Well, I think all internet connection is all right.
Suddenly, I don't know if I'm wrong.
Now?
Now it is better, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. So governance and leadership management is not only the directors at the directors level, it is at your level also. You cannot blame others. Success has many owners, you see. When you are successful, everybody says, oh, I did it. If something goes wrong, everybody shirks. They go behind. Oh, I am not responsible. It is not the responsibility only the director, only the principal or the vice chancellor. It is the responsibility of all the stakeholders in the institution, that you have to really take the institution to a level of where you have visualized. The vision of your institute has to be always in your mind before, when you are dealing with your students. And then all the institutional values and best practices we have already discussed, and I'm sure many of your previous resource persons have discussed what are the institutional values and best practices. But the only thing is, best practices cannot be preached. It has to be practiced before the students. Then only they will see the result of that best practice, and they will, and in fact, they are the ones, they will come out with more innovative. They will suggest you, okay, ma'am, can we do this to save this? Can we do this, that, to do this, like that? In fact, they are very, very innovative students are. The only thing is that you have to bring this innovation to the class, involve them with all the best practices. If you involve these students, it is not only NCC or NSS which is responsible for best practices in your institute. You as a teacher also have to contribute to any good practice. If you do it in front of, why if you see why the children of teachers, they do well, most 80% of children of teachers, they do well in their life. Why? Because they have seen their parents all the time studying, all the time updating themselves, and they lead a very disciplined life. Because we as teachers, we have many responsibilities: responsibility of our house, responsibility of our institute, responsibility of our own children, responsibility of children of this institute. So when you have to balance all these things, you automatically become well balanced person. And when you disciplined person, and when our children see discipline, they also discipline themselves and they do well in their lives. Because when you are a disciplined person, you can excel in any field of your choice. The discipline is a must in your life. So these are all NAC and NEP, they have been inculcating on, they have been stressing on all these things. No? So being educated means giving education in a gist. I would like to finish in one sentence that giving education means you are sensitizing an individual. You are preparing a educated person for your country, a sensitive person who is having knowledge of wisdom, who is having knowledge of technology, who is having a knowledge of ethics, values, innovations, and like empathetic and discipline, everything put on one plate, like a buffet. When you are an institute, you have to act like a buffet. Like just like in a buffet, we have many dishes on the table. You choose what you want to eat. Some people want to eat very sweet things. Some people like to eat fried things. Some people like to eat only vegetarian food. So like this, your institution has to offer a buffet of courses, buffet of skills, set of skills to your students, and so that they can choose and select as per their choice. That is what any NEP has envisioned. That is what NEP wants all the educational institutes to do it, so that we design our curriculum, we update our infrastructure, we do research, we take the research to our classrooms, we practice best practices, we direct and we lead the students in a on the right path. And you have to support the students in all possible ways so that they are not misguided and disciplined. This is what in fact, these are the what revamping of curriculum, teaching, learning, evaluation, research, infrastructure, student support, governance and leadership, institutional. This is what NAC team, when the NAC team visit, the reports that would be submitted would reflect the openness and clarity by following sincere attempts to the metrics. This is what I wanted to tell you about the changing scenario in higher education.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so very much. Any questions?